Hello, Cradle to Kindy. Christine Jolly, your parent coach, here for this week's Q&A live. And I'm so excited to be here today with you. We've got a couple of questions to work through and a couple of parenting philosophy things to think through together and see how we can incorporate them this week in your parenting and interaction with your children. And then next week, we're going to come back and see how you've been going. I'm Christine Jolly. I am here to help you as parents grow in confidence so that you can have peaceful homes, happy, contented children, and partner together with your partner or your circle of your tribe, your village, so that you can parent with confidence. So I hope you consider me your trusted ally in your parenting journey, because I'm here to answer your questions today. And please, I do apologize for the construction sounds that you're hearing today, because our neighbors are undergoing some plumbing issues. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm sorry. So let's get started. As you can see here, we're going to start with the feelings of guilt versus regret. And the reason I bring this up is because so many families that I work with, the parents come to me because they have reached a level of their parenting where they just are feeling so much guilt. They think they've made so many wrong decisions and it's their fault that things have gotten to the point where they just feel like they're not in control. Their children are out of control. They don't know where they went wrong. And they come to me with these intense feelings of guilt. Now, hold on. If this is an emotion that you are carrying on your shoulders, your sleep-deprived, emotionally exhausted shoulders, I want you to let that go, because I don't think that's an emotion that is for you to carry. And I'll explain why. So my understanding of guilt is that guilt is when we make decisions and we act on those decisions based on we are purposely choosing a path forward that we know is wrong, and the purpose of making that choice and acting on it is to harm either ourselves or someone else or something. I don't know a single parent who sets out to make wrong choices purposely for the purpose of harming their child or themselves or their family. If you are carrying guilt as a parent, let it go now. It's not an emotion for you to carry. Now, hold on. I want you to switch from guilt to regret. And here's why. Because often as we're sorting through, I've made some bad choices in my parenting journey. I don't know where I went wrong, but obviously something went wrong. And then all of a sudden, you and I start talking, and I start revealing, I start asking you questions. And through asking those questions, things come up like, that's the missing piece of the puzzle. And in that moment, you're like, I wish I'd known that 4 years ago, last week, 9 years ago. We would have been getting good sleep at night if I had just known that one bit of information. Guilt does not come into play when you're feeling what you're feeling right now. Regret is what the emotion is called. And what's happening is that you are now aware of a choice that you made or a bit of information that you made that wasn't necessarily the best for you and your family or your child. And you now feel regret. If I had only known. And here's the great thing about regret as an emotion. Once you've put language to it and you realize the different choice or the different path you could have taken, you then have a choice to make. You can then say, I wish I had done this, but now that I know it, I can now make a plan and move forward. And you know what? I'm going to slip. I'm going to fall down on that plan, but at least I know which direction to go into now. And I can now make choices based on that good information that I was missing before. So if you are currently holding on to guilt, let it go. And instead, understand it as regret. And then you can move forward and make a good plan. Okay, now the reason why I say this, and I preface the rest of the Q&A with this, is because almost all of my clients, I have to work through this shifting of emotional understanding with them because it's a big deal. So many parents are carrying this feeling of guilt when it's not their burden to carry. So I'll give you an example. Tonight I'll be working with a family, and let's see. Tonight I'll be working with a family, and I'll give you an example of some questions that I would ask of you if you were coming to me to ask help, especially in regards to sleep, but anything regarding feeding, behavior, sleep, development, even play. And so I'm going to ask you a series of questions. And I usually do this with an online form, so you can take your time over 24 hours, work on filling it out. Most people already know the information, so they just smash it out within 5 minutes. They're like, here, what am I doing wrong? Tell me what to do, fix it. So I've got an example here of a family who's been having 9 years of broken sleep. Every single one of their 3 children have had pretty rough time when it comes to finding the sleep they need. And as a result, the parents are feeling the strain of their own sleepless nights. So I can actually quickly look through this. There's the first page, second page, yep, all of that is right. And as I'm looking through it, I stop and I notice something when it comes to, I ask the question of their eating habits and what food they're eating, and give me a food diary of over a 24-hour period, so I can pick up on what kind of foods are being eaten and how that might contribute to any needs for nighttime feeding, or if there's anything that we need to be including in your little one's diet so that they get the best sleep at night. And I've determined by looking at this food diary that this little one is needing more protein in her diet. And especially for a 12-month-old, we're going to be adding more protein at lunch because their guts are still quite immature. So we're going to be adding some protein at lunch, about 1/3 of a cup. Nothing major. Some chopped up bits of chicken, that's enough. And she can finger feed herself or in a spoon or mix it in with some pasta and veggies. But the reason why we want to do this is it gives her gut and her body time to process it. So when it comes to nighttime, you and I have most of our protein in the evening. But our little girl here, our 12-month-old, her body needs time to break down that protein. So when it comes to night, when our bodies are processing all the nutrients from our gut, she then has protein in her system to help counterbalance any natural sugars that she's getting from her fruit, or any sort of sweetened yogurts she might be having. So that protein helps counterbalance those sugars so that it minimizes the effect of the sugar on her body. Now, what happens if she's not having heaps of protein? The body converts that natural sugar into adrenaline. And this is what's pumping through her body overnight. And no wonder she's experiencing lots of overnight wake-ups, and she's being quite wakeful in the evening because she's got adrenaline pumping through her system. So that's something, that's a bit of missing information that this family had that they can easily incorporate into their lives and easily change today. So that's good news. So looking through the rest of the questions, everything actually looks really good. Her room is nice and dark. She's sleeping in a sleeping bag, It's gotten a bit colder in the past few weeks, and so we're just going to assess if she needs an extra layer of clothing on. But she's being put to bed awake, a bit drowsy, but not fully asleep. And so really what we need to work on is her nap time scheduling, making sure that those are on point, her nutritional intake, getting that protein at lunch. And we might not even have to worry a thing about the dreaded sleep training techniques, because these might just be the two pieces of the puzzle that this family needed to help their 12-month-old get the sleep that she needs. So we're going to work on the protein, we're going to work on the nap times and see how we go. And if it turns out that she's still waking overnight, we can definitely address ways to find that are age appropriate to help her learn the skill of self-settling. But I have big hopes for this family that I'll be working with over the weekend in the coming 2 weeks. And I think they're going to nail it and finally get a good night's rest after 9 years of waking up over the night to help settle their babies. Right, we're going to move on to the next bit. Let's see, have I got... No, I haven't got any words to display on the screen for this, but I did want to walk you through some parenting philosophy that I'd like for you to incorporate in your week this week, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it next week during the Q&A. So I want you to think about your connection with your child, whether it's your newborn, your 18-month-old, your 5-year-old, your child that's already off and gone to uni and is traveling the world, in terms of a circle or a loop. And your role as the parent is to provide a safe haven on one hand, and another hand is your secure base. And this is how we want to understand our connection with our children. You are their port of call, you are their safe haven, and if they're out and they need help and they're upset or they're hurt and they feel free that they can come into the safe haven of you and your relationship. On the other hand, you're also a secure base. So as they go out and explore the world, you are there to support them in their exploration and send them off and to make them ready for all the things that their brains and bodies are learning and growing and developing. So those two hands in the loop are your part in the relationship. Now, as your newborn, the newborn loop is quite small. Think of it as a brand new, quite tight rubber band. And that rubber band never goes quite far. And your newborn, you know this, never goes quite far away from you. And as your little one gets older, and especially as they get mobile, the rubber band stretches and they can get further, but they can always snap back and come to you when they need you. And then as they get to be a toddler and they're learning to walk and run, they can always come back to you. And then they're 5. They go off to kindergarten and they're no longer with you during the day. And at the end of the school day, they know that they can always come back to you. And then they go off to school and high school and university, and they're traveling the world and they're having their own family. You're still their secure base and their safe haven, and they know they can come to you whenever they need you. So think about your relationship, your connection with your children in terms of a loop. You are the safe haven and the secure base. Now, part of that is with a newborn. How would that look? So a newborn's not going to travel very far away from you in that loop. But when they come to you, even though they can't move, they can still make eye contact with you. They can still connect with you. They can still smile at you. And your facial expressions and your tone of voice and your body language are telling them with everything they can understand that you are with them in that moment. And we call that being with. When we're talking about the attachment theory between parents and child, or carer and child. So you're with your child, But at some point, they will want to go out and explore and be launched away from their secure base. And what does that look like for a newborn? That might just look as simple as looking away from you, breaking that eye contact and looking and gazing at the pretty patterns that the leaves on the tree outside the window are making, or staring up at the lights at the ceiling for a while. And then when they're done with that, they're ready to come back and be with you. And then they might look away again. And then they're back and they want to be with you. And we can support that. Now, some ways that parents can interrupt this loop is if you notice your child looking away, you might interpret that as, oh no, we were having a moment, we were connecting, and all of a sudden you've broken that connection and you feel almost a personal affront on that level. Instead of understanding it as this need to go out and explore her world, you interpret it as your child has broken a connection with you. So if you can switch it up in your brain and remind yourself that your child is just exploring her world, this is what they do, and it's your job as secure base to send them off and support them in this exploring of their environment, you can sit back and wait and let her explore her environment. And when she wants to come in, be that safe haven and then be with her. Circle of Security has developed some really good handouts and some visuals. The visuals need to be updated a bit. They tend to be a little bit clip artish, but the definitions and the ideas still stand. So I've got here is the basic ideas of the Circle of Security. And we've got our secure base, our hands, where we're going to send our children out and support them in their exploring of the world. But we also have our hands of the safe haven. And here we've got our little baby, our toddler, our child, going out and exploring the world. And it says that the child says, I need you to support my going out. Now, a parent might feel frustrated and break this circle of security when she's not comfortable with letting her child go out and explore. And when this happens, the little one can become quite confused and think that going out isn't safe. And they might actually turn around when they actually need to be going out and exploring, and they might turn back and come in for a safe haven because they're getting cues from you as the parent that you don't want them to go out and explore. Now, this isn't talking about in terms of it's not safe and you're just setting clear boundaries. You're keeping your kid from exploring their environment by running into the road. This is more you just personally feel uncomfortable with your child going and exploring. You want them to be always close to you. So this is more about you than about your child and their safety. You can also break this connection, this loop, if you are uncomfortable with your little one coming in to that safe haven. You might be the type of personality, or you may have some background and experience where you really value independence and autonomy, and you find it frustrating and uncomfortable when your little one comes to you for support and nurture and touch and being with. You would much rather them stay out here and explore their environment and need you less. So often parents fall into one of those two categories. And what's really helpful is to be able to know that you struggle with one of those. And once you know, you then have a choice. You can say, and in Circle of Security, they refer to that choice, or, listening to, they call it listening to the shark music in your head. So if on the Circle of Security, you are uncomfortable with your little one going out and exploring their environment, and you begin hearing shark music in your head, da-dum, 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 but you know it's perfectly safe for them to do so. There's nothing really to keep them from doing it. It's just you personally are uncomfortable with it, and you'd rather them be next to you and be with you the whole time. If you hear that shark music, you then have a choice. And once you have that choice, you can realize this is what's happening. This is shark music. My child is not safe. What he needs, what he wants is to go out and explore his environment, and it is my job to support him in that and to allow that. So when our little one is okay and out there exploring their environment, what they need from us to support them in that is they need for us to delight in them as they explore, watch over them as they turn to new sights, sounds, and touches, look at the world through their eyes and talk to them about it, wait while they look away to calm themselves because they're too excited. So giving your little one, your child, a chance to regulate their own emotions. And then what if they're upset? What if they've gone out to explore? Something happens. They've been pushed. Someone doesn't share with them. They've had a bit of a tumble and they're out there exploring and they're upset. How do we still support them when they're still in that out and exploring phase of the loop? So when they're upset, give them just enough help when they get frustrated so that they can do it. So let's say your little one is at the playground and they want to climb a climbing frame and they're getting frustrated because they can't quite do it. So you can come closer to them and be with them in that and exploring and learning this new skill, an exciting skill, but don't do it for them. That's not actually what they want from you in that moment. They want you to support them in being able to try it and to provide a little bit more safety for them. So it might just mean staying about a foot away and letting them know, hey, you know what? I can tell that you don't quite know where to put your foot. How about you try putting your foot right there? See if that works. So you're not doing it for them. You're not moving their feet for them. You're not moving their hands for them. It's all developmentally appropriate. It is perfectly fine for them to go out and explore their environment, and you're there to help scaffold that experience for them. So if they're upset and they're out there on the loop exploring their environment, you can wait while I look away so I can practice using myself to calm down. And this is where self-regulation of emotions comes into play. But a child on a loop is not able to self-regulate until she has learned how to regulate her emotions in relationship with you. And that's called co-regulation of emotions. So let's say she's out here and she's not able to do it. She's just not able to regulate her emotions. She's going to come in and she's going to look to you to help her and to co-regulate those emotions. And so, as your little one comes in, your little one needs help, they're coming into the safe haven, they're saying, I need you to welcome my coming in. And over here, when they're coming in and they're okay, their emotions are okay, what do they need from us? It says, delight in me as I fall in love with your face. Show me you get it by matching my emotions with your voice, face, and touch. There's nothing more annoying when you've got really, really good news and you go up and you share it to your friend or your partner or the guy next to you on the bus, and it's the best news in the world, and all of you get is them looking at their phone here and maybe and it's the same with our children. They want you to match them where they're at emotionally. So if they're excited, you be excited. Eye contact, a welcoming, friendly expression on your face. You know, you've opened your body language to them, and you're there to be with them in the moment at the same level of excitement that's with them. So what about when they're upset? How can we be with them in their upset? These are some really good tips here. So what do they need from us? It says, comfort me by matching my emotions so I can practice using you to help me calm down. Remember what I said about a little one out here on the loop of exploring their environment, how they're not able to self-regulate their emotions unless they've experienced it in relationship with you first?
People have found, researchers found and have done all kinds of research and have evidence based on observations that people who are able to, adults who are able to regulate their emotions the best, one of the reasons why they're able to do that is because they first experienced it with a carer, a coach, a teacher, a parent. They experienced it first in relationship, and then when they were out in the world, at school, on the playground, parents not there with them, they were able to use their memory and go back and remember, what did mom do with me when I was upset the last time in this similar situation? I remember that mom gave me a big hug. I wish she was here with me. Maybe I'll try and do it to myself. I remember mom, she squeezed me really tight. And so the child might start to squeeze themselves. The child might also start to rock because that's what mom did with her. And mom also asked me some questions. She asked me to talk about what I was feeling. I'm feeling really frustrated and a bit unsure. And I'm not certain what I should do next. And then that helps really trigger their thinking brain so that they're then able to work through those emotions on their own and self-regulate. But that needs to happen first in relationship with you to be successful when they're on their own. What else do they need from us when they come in? Organize my feelings by accepting, sharing, and naming them. Do you notice that nowhere on here does it say to lecture and tell your child what to do to fix their situation? That's nowhere on here. And children are so bright and intelligent, and we can be there with them in the moment, but we can't solve all of life's problems with them. But what's more important than a lecture, than a teaching moment, in that moment, is for us to be with them, to match them where they're at emotionally, to help them organize their feelings, give it a name, call it for what it is. You're frustrated, you're angry, you're tired, you're disappointed, and just naming them. So an example that is really good is that there was a mum of an 8-month-old who the mum was going back to work, and we had this question I think 2 weeks ago, where a mom's going back to work and she wants to know how to give her child the bottle so that when she's at work, she doesn't have to worry about her baby not getting the nutrition that the baby needs. So another parenting expert was walking this mom through the steps on how to help her baby get the bottle that she needs. And the parenting expert was saying to her, you need to listen to your baby and hear what she's trying to tell you and be with her and her emotions and match her where she's at. Don't try and teach her in that moment. What your baby needs for you to know is that she needs to know that you understand her, where she's at, and that you see her, and that you get her, and that she's upset about this new way of doing things, but she needs to see from you that you haven't lost control, that you're with her where she's at, but you're not afraid. You're not weak in this moment. You're stronger, wiser, kind, and in that moment, she will know that things are different now, but you get her, and she'll be in a space where she can have a go. I just thought it was a really lovely way of approaching it with this necessity that this family saw that they needed to incorporate into their lives. So this week, I just want you to practice observing. I'm not going to get you to do that whole circle and to memorize everything. I just want you to observe. I want you to observe your little one going out and supporting them in that going out and taking note that this is what your little one does when they feel the need or the urge to go out, and you're able to support them in that. I also want you to be mindful of when your little one is coming in and support them in their coming in. Don't lecture them, don't teach them in that moment, but be with them, match them where they're at emotionally, and help them organize their thoughts and their emotions so that when they are out and exploring and away from you, they're better able to self-regulate themselves and their emotions and be able to trigger their thinking brain and solve their own problems in life. That's it for us today. If you've got any questions, pop them in the comments and we'll come back to them next week if I can't answer them today or this week. We've got some really exciting guest Q&As coming up in June and July. If you've got some questions that are kind of outside of the realm of a parent or sleep coach, you might want to ask, say, hey, can you get a guest Q&A person to come in and talk about something? So to clue you in, we've got someone who's going to talk to us about your child's first haircut. Salon Little Red in Hobart CBD has a gorgeous salon that's just set up for families. There are quality, beautiful toys. There's cars for the children to sit in when they have their haircut. There's even a space for the grown-ups to, you can have your hair done over there while your little ones are happily playing and being minded and looked after. So we're going to get the owner of Salon Little Red to come in and give us some tips about your little one's first haircut, maybe even show us around her salon a little bit so we can get a taste for it. But that will be one of the guest Q&As coming up in June and July, so I'm really looking forward to it. I will see you next week. Bye.